Lighting 101, DOS and don'ts. Welcome to the channel. Today we're talking all about lighting. We'll cover everything from harnessing natural light to understanding the power of shadows. By the end of this video, you'll know how to light your scenes like a pro. Let's kick things off with the MVP of lighting natural light. It's free, readily available, and looks incredible on camera. Whether you're shooting indoors or outdoors, there are always ways to maximize the impact of natural light. Open those curtains, embrace the sun, and let's make some magic. It just feels more organic and real. Now, let's talk about a common mistake, relying solely on overhead lighting, those harsh, unflattering shadows. That's overhead lighting for you. Instead, find other light sources that add depth and dimension to your scene. Let's talk about the heart of any good lighting setup, the key light. This is your main light source. Investing in a quality key light can make a world of difference in your footage. We've got our key light, but we're not done yet. Now it's time to talk about fill light. Fill light helps to reduce those harsh shadows created by your key light, resulting in a more even and pleasing image. Without fill light, your scene can look overly dramatic and shadowy. Balance is key in lighting, and fill light is your secret weapon to achieving that perfect harmony. Let's add some depth and dimension to our shots with backlighting. This technique involves placing a light source behind your subject. Backlighting is especially useful when you're shooting against a dark background, as it helps to define your subject and make them pop. Don't be afraid to experiment. Try positioning your backlight at different angles and distances to see how it affects the overall look of your shot. We've talked about the do's, now let's dive into some major don'ts. First up, overexposure. Overexposure occurs when your image is too bright, resulting in a loss of detail and a washed-out look. To avoid overexposure, always check your camera's histogram and make sure your exposure levels are balanced. It's better to err on the side of slightly underexposing your image, as you can always recover details in post-production. Let's talk about diffusers. Simply put, diffusers help to soften harsh light and create a more pleasing image. They work by spreading out the light rays over a wider area, reducing shadows and making your subject look more flattering. Whether you're shooting with natural light or artificial light, using a diffuser can dramatically improve the quality of your footage. Let's talk about color temperature. Different light sources have different color temperatures, which can affect the overall look and feel of your footage. For example, daylight has a cool bluish color temperature, while tungsten light has a warm yellowish color temperature. The key here is to match your light sources to avoid color casts. Make sure all your light sources have a similar color temperature. Let's talk about using practical lights. They're any light source that appears within your scene and has a practical purpose beyond just illuminating your subject. Incorporating practical lights into your scenes can add a touch of realism and depth that's hard to replicate with artificial lights alone. Instead of just blasting your subject with a key light, use a table lamp or a fireplace as your main light source. Finally, let's talk about shadows. Shadows can be your best friend when used creatively. They add depth, dimension, and a touch of drama to your shots. Instead of fearing shadows, embrace them. Use them to your advantage to create moods, highlight textures, and guide the viewer's eye. And there you have it. The essential do's and don'ts of film lighting for beginners. Lighting is an art form, and like any art form, it takes practice and experimentation to master. If you found these tips helpful, give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more filmmaking tutorials. Keep those cameras rolling and never stop creating.